The fireworks started early and often today, as we got a long-requested collaboration now back into the game after a year's absence, a new task from Helldivers HQ, and talks of a Rogue-lite Mode coming to Helldivers? And that's all before we ever see a frame of tonight's Game Awards. Of course, I've got you covered along the way with my thoughts as well. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my future upload alerts as we dive into what's happened today inside Helldivers. The Helldivers 𝗪𝗲𝗃 fantasy has returned, and my God, have we been asking for this one for a long time, as the Killzone Warbond is now returning nearly 1 year to the day since it first appeared in the game and then was abruptly pulled. And remember that Arrowhead originally launched it in a two-part drop, but the community saw the prices for the first page of that Killzone Superstore and pushed back hard against that pricing model. Page 1 included the medium iconic 𝗪𝗲𝗃 armor, the 𝗕cie assault rifle, along with a banner, cape, and player title. And again, the backlash from the community was so severe that Arrowhead ended up suspending their plans to sell us Page 2, instead opting to just give it to us for free. Page 2 included the lightweight armor set, the 𝗲𝗃39 accelerator rifle, the 𝗕A11 SMG, and of course another banner and cape. Now the reason I'm taking you back through all of this is because that same set of offerings is now being reintroduced back into the game, this time in the form of a Legendary Warbond releasing next week, December 18th. So this time it's going to be the full Monty, so to speak, all in one go, which you can see here up on screen, but it does have a couple of caveats, which I think are super important, so check these out. First, if you previously purchased at least one of those Page 1 offerings back when they were live, you're going to be getting the entire Killzone Legendary Warbond unlocked for free. Keyword there is unlocked. For example, maybe you bought the AC1 dutiful armor and nothing else, or you paid exclusively for the 𝗕A52 assault rifle. You're not going to have to pay the 1,500 super credits to gain access to this Warbond. It's yours, unlocked for free. If you did not buy anything on Page 1 back before they pulled it from the Superstore, so you only got the free Page 2 items, then you are going to have to pay the 1,500 super credits to unlock the Warbond. But, hear me out, all the free Page 2 items that you already have that are in this Warbond will be metal unlocked once you pay that 1,500 super cred fee. So in this case, you'd pay your 1,500 credits, you'd have all the Page 2 items already sitting there unlocked, and would then only have to grind out the medals to purchase the Page 1 items that you really never had in the first place. And finally, any players that joined Helldivers 2 after the Killzone mayhem took place back in late 2024, well, you're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way by paying the 1,500 super credits and then having to purchase each item in the Warbond using your medals. And just using me as an example, I was there and purchased the day 1 items in the store before Arrowhead pulled them down back in late 2024. I also got the Page 2 items when they gave them to us for free. So in my case, I would not have to pay the 1,500 credits for the Warbond, and I'd have it for free, and I would also have all the OG Page 1 and Page 2 items unlocked and fully paid for in this Legendary Warbond without spending any medals. However, the extra Solar Ash, FRV, Exosuit, Shuttle, and Hellpod skins were not available back in December 2024, so those would be the only items I would have to save up for and purchase with medals. Make sense? Now, if you have specific questions, maybe it's about where and what you're going to need to pay for, just drop a comment and we're going to do our best to answer them as quickly as possible. All of that said, and for those of you who regularly tune into my videos, you know that I always keep it real here on the channel. And the question you may have in your mind is, 1,500 super credits? That's quite a lot. What do I get for that? And is it worth it? Well, first, if you're into Killzone as a franchise and you want that iconic 𝗪𝗲𝗃 look, then I'd say absolutely yes. Also, the acclimated armor passive is actually pretty good, granting you 50% resistance to fire, gas, acid, and electrical damage, so essentially 50% versus status effects. fire on the bot planets, gas from spear guns, bugs spitting acid on you, and even a wild squad mate spamming de-escalator rounds and arc nades all over the place, all of that would fall under acclimated and what it can do for you. The Killzone armors were basically the Dust Devil armors with Desert Stormer before Dust Devils was in the game, just minus the bonus 20% throwing range. Now, I personally love versatility in my weapons and gear, and acclimated certainly gives me options as a player, although there is sadly no heavy version of this armor currently in the game. Also, it's a really good time to mention the Wasp launcher right here and now, which is a part of the Killzone universe, but it was not tied to the initial Superstore purchases, just like it's not here in the Warbond. You see, back when Killzone first hit the game in late December, we Helldivers were given temporary access to it on a trial basis, with it then being offered up as a gift during the Festival of Reckoning Major Order. From then on, it showed up in a player's ship computer where you could permanently add it in as a stratagem. Now, I've said this in the past, but I love what the Wasp is designed for and what it can do so damn well, like erasing medium armor targets such as Devastators and gunships over on the bot planets, Overseers and Stingrays in Squidsville, and it also is highly effective versus many of the bug variants as well. However, outside of the armor, there's nothing else here to augment your builds. The assault rifle, SMG, and sniper rifle all look very unique, and for really early game setups, they can help you out, but the lack of any customization on the weapons, probably due to franchise restrictions, leaves them sorely lacking behind other primaries you may already have. For example, the sniper is actually pretty good with medium armor pen and explosive damage, but it fires in 3-round bursts and has a 9-round magazine, so you have to reload after just 3 bursts. Plus, the spare mags are severely lacking, and since there's no customization, there's no extended mag options here, and yeah, you get the picture. So, TLDR, the drip with Killzone is strong, the armor passive is actually really useful, but outside of that, you're not going to get much for those 1,500 super creds. But with how this all went down a year ago and how Arrowhead so abruptly pulled the Page 1 offerings from the Superstore, it's good to finally see them back in there. And since we are talking about status effects and of course fire, let's check in on the now failed Major Order, letting us know that the automatons are right now mining significant amounts of high-grade platinum with the idea that they may be attempting to use it to create more durable weapons of war that are highly resistant to corrosion, possibly by even augmenting their own metallic chassis. And with that chilling thought in your brain, let's see what High Command has in store for us next. Attempts to liberate magma planets have met with limited success. Automaton schemes and affected sectors persist, and more vitally, the resources required to deliver the next chapter of freedom remain scarce. Spearheaded by the Ministry of Expansion, High Command has initiated a trailblazing strategy to ensure our benevolent Federation never lacks room for growth. Operation Free Space. To launch this project, High Command has ordered the construction of 𝗵𝗄𝗃 Base, listen to this, a top-secret foundry dedicated to the ultimate evolution of the Democracy Space Station. 𝗵𝗄𝗃 Base will develop the next-generation galactic defense technologies central to Operation Free Space. Construction will utilize a workforce of millions of legally mandated volunteers from the Center for the Confinement of Dissidents, offering its populace the means for which to regain their citizenship and their voting rights. The Helldivers are ordered to hold a foyer bay and hold liberated magma planets to secure supply lines and workforce transport shuttles. Failure will result in project delays and reduced atonement opportunities for those who need them most. Now, there's a ton here that we need to unpack, but the TLDR is that we have yet another 7-day major order on our hands in which we need to hold Fury and then succeed at liberating and holding Planet K and Mox. So this is essentially Lava Planets Round 2, much like we have with the bugs on Osha'une. We also need to make sure that we are holding a foyer bay at MO's end. But the implications here in this briefing are really interesting. First, we've got the jailed dissidents being used as a workforce to construct this 𝗵𝗄𝗃 base, which, if these captives do participate in this work, will earn them their citizenship and voting rights back. The other massive bit here is the mention of the DSS, that's right, our Death Star, and what they call its ultimate evolution. Now, since we are going after this same high-grade platinum, are we Helldivers looking at using it to coat the DSS's hull to make it even more resilient? Or, and God, I hope it's this one, are we looking finally at Tier 6 ship modules somewhere in our near future? Because I think it was summer, so that was what, July 2024 when we last saw one of those. Either way, drop a comment about your thoughts here as to how this platinum will be used to augment the Death Star. And finally, here's a question for you. How would you like a permadeath game mode in Helldivers 2? Well, according to Johan, the studio's chief creative officer, Arrowhead has a prototype of a Rogue-lite Mode, stating that it fundamentally changes the game. Now, outside of this, we know absolutely nothing, as he gave no further details, but imagine a version of Helldivers where if you die, it's permanent, but the experience you gain during your drops to the planet earn you persistent upgrades, so the next time you dive, you're going to be just that little bit stronger. Now, I have no idea how this would actually fit into Helldivers, but maybe it could be a horde mode of sorts where you clear wave after wave, each time gaining small power gains and weapons until you're finally overrun, at which time, if you die, you die. Terminated or voteless horde mode sounds like it would be pretty epic, and I'd be down to try it all out, but right now, this is all just me speculating. You all remember when we saved the sick children from certain annihilation, right? And how we got them out of Super Citizen Anne's hospital for very sick children, and how that then passed into IRL, with Arrowhead making a donation to the Save the Children Foundation in honor of the Helldivers' valiant efforts. Well, that event has actually continued on, with this year's goal being to raise and donate $500, which the organizers did apparently in the blink of an eye. Now, this thing has seen its goals raised and raised each time the Helldivers meet it, and then the organizers have to go in and move the goalpost again. Well, right now, they've passed $5,000 raised, so that's 10 times their initial goals, with the new goal being $7,000, and they're already approaching that one, with, by the way, 100% of the donations going to charity. Now, I'll drop the links to both the Children's Hospital and the donation site itself down in the video description and pinned comments, along with a short put together by 𝗲𝗶𝗃𝗃𝗃. Anyways, check it out, do what you can, you know it's for a good cause, which is what we Helldivers always step up to support. And of course, as we've already discussed in a previous video, tonight is the Game Awards show, to which community manager Baskinator has already said that Helldivers won't be doing anything for. We've also seen Shams Georgiani, the studio's CEO, responding with a smiley face emoji when asked that same question. But at this point, I think it's anybody's guess. Personally, I want to see John Helldiver Part 2 with another massive content drop happening live on stage, but I'm also tempering my hopes, at least just a little. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my future upload alerts. I'd also like to say a massive thanks to the growing channel members group, for without your continued support, content like this would not be possible. Until the next one, this is 𝗲𝗲𝗹𝗶𝘃𝗲𝗿 signing off.